If you're ready to take your finances to the Welcome to the next stop on your journey from paycheck to pension. If you're ready to take your finances to the next level, you're in the right place. It's time to take control of your future, starting now, and we're doing it live. Hi, we're the Stidhams, and our goal is to help you get self-directed. It's the tax-free income that will shape your legacy. It's wealth, time, and the freedom you deserve. What you're about to learn will enable you to make confident and strategic moves. It means gaining complete control to invest in what you want when you want. We've helped thousands of people just like you. And if they can do it, you can too. So we hope you're ready, because it's about time that your money started working for you. And we're so excited that you chose us to show you how.
Starting right now.
Okay.
Different? Yeah.
Okay, I think we're started. Yeah, okay. And
So
we
got
can
a
see
blue
people.
screen it today?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We kind of have an interesting topic tonight. Not really interesting, because we like to spill the tea and we like to show a different perspective. But sometimes I think that this can ruffle a little feathers, just simply because of the contrast,
Right.
the contrasting of advice that's out there. But we're
Very
seeing
much
a
so.
lot of, yeah, we're seeing a lot of it. And so, I mean, pretty much it's just that retiring with debt is often considered a cardinal sin. But what if you can't retire because you focused on being debt free? Like, is there no sin in that? While debt weighs heavy on most Americans, knowing how to strategize and cut out the noise just might save your chances of retiring not only early, but prevent you from having to return to the workforce due to running out of money. So tonight we're going to take a post straight out of Dave Ramsey's group
Dun, 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 dun.
and rework it to show you the difference that a strategy makes. If you're on a mission to become financially free, you're in the right place. Tonight we're asking the question, can debt-free culture do more harm than help? What do you think?
Man. And here's the thing. I know I'm in a lot of groups that I probably shouldn't be in. And there was a time where I was trolling in these groups, right? Some question would come up and I was like, no, this isn't what you should be doing. This is what you should be doing. And I got kicked out of a lot of groups. And so I stopped doing that. But what I appreciate about these groups is I think it gives us a really solid view into what real world America is doing.
Right,
We have a decent following, but is nowhere near the Dave Ramseys and the other influencers like that, right? And
right,
so these people religiously live by this playbook.
right,
And in kind of listening, and again, I'm in the group just to learn, just to absorb, just to understand. These are the strategies that are being presented, and these are the actions that people are taking. And I'm not going to say it's the wrong action. I just don't know it's the best action. And again, it goes back to the goal, right? If the goal is to be debt free, rock on, because you will become debt free. But if the goal is to do something other than that, maybe there's a better way. Maybe there are some other actions that can be taken to allow you or at least to assist you in hitting that goal. So that's kind
yeah.
of the objective.
Well, there's a couple hard stops for me. One of those is that even the baby steps address preparing for retirement. There is not a single person who is teaching or coaching in the the personal financial space, personal finance space, who does not consider that investing or saving for retirement is like something that everybody has to do, simply because, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Simply because there's no guarantee that we're going to have the ability to work until our last day, right?
Right.
There's no guarantee of that. In addition to that, being able to hold our value in the workplace, I think that's another kind of stressor and factor in here. There is not a single program that does not address retiring. However, the sequence of events and the fact that there is a sequence like this, then that,
Right.
that's the part that's bothersome, because by the time you get to that, You're so focused on this for so long, and it takes so long to get this down. Then by the time you have, oh, finally, I can get to that, it's too late.
Right.
And
And
where are they?
and to restate what you're saying, it's compound cycles. If
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
spending this amount of time addressing this thing, this debt, this paying off your mortgage, whatever those steps are, what
Hmm.
you're losing are compound cycles. You're losing your ability to build a decent wealth generating vehicle because you're losing time. And that's the one piece that we can't get back. So you're spot on. Spot on.
Okay, thanks, Ted. He said your volume is softer than mine. So you're the one that's slow today. Yeah, we got to get this down, folks.
Hello.
There it is. Okay, well, hello, everyone. We got folks in here. So you ready to jump in and show them what we found?
Yeah, absolutely. And just to kind of set the stage a little bit for what that looks like, as I mentioned, I'm in a lot of groups, Facebook, Instagram, all over the place. And I just pay attention. My objective is just to listen, pay attention, absorb. And when there's an opportunity to kind of bring something to this group, I try to do so. And in this particular case, it's a Dave Ramsey Facebook group, pretty large group. And there was a post that was made, and inside that post, there's probably, I think when I took a picture of it, there was probably 150, 160 comments. I believe it's up over 1,000 now, and I am confident because I've only scrolled to maybe 300 of them. I am confident all 1,000 say the same thing. And so what I just wanted to do was just provide a different perspective because I go back to this is going to be one of the largest transfers of wealth that we've ever in the history of this country
Right.
as we close out this year. And so what's happening is 10,000 people a day are turning 60 years old and wondering whether or not they have enough to retire. And what they're starting to learn is, you know what? If I'd have made some different choices, I might be in a better position. But so I'm not in a position to be able to retire right now. I might have to look at working till 75, 82, delivering pizzas at 77 or whatever that issue might be. Whereas if we were to just look at this a little bit differently and really hold, I think the number one item to hold on to is the fact that we only have a certain number of compound cycles. So the best thing you can do for yourself is get money compounding as quickly as possible. Pay yourself first. Just pay yourself first. Before you do anything else, pay any other bill, pay yourself first. Put it in a vehicle that's building compound interest for you. That is the best thing you can do for yourself. Otherwise, we'll be having this conversation.
Exactly. So let's get into it.
Yep, let's do it.
All right. Here we go.
So, for the
Hmm.
most part, today is we've covered subjects like this before. You know, it's velocity. After you've done velocity banking, then what? After you've paid off the debt, after you've increased your cash flow, what actions do you take after that? So, what I want to walk through today is kind of addressing a few different areas or a few different segments of individuals. One, this is going to address the baby steppers, those who are participating and becoming debt free. Um, I'm hoping that the message today is received by those who are doing velocity banking, using velocity banking to pay off your home in 5 to 7 years. I think that's the tagline, right? Hey, get this first position HELOC so you can pay off your home quickly. Getting a first position HELOC or a second position HELOC and putting yourself in a position such that the home isn't as much of a burden, I agree with 100%. But not necessarily to pay the home off, to leverage the home so that you can actually use the home as a vehicle to build wealth. Most of us will pillage our retirement. We will pillage our savings just so that we can buy the home, but we never look at the home as a vehicle that we can use to actually build wealth. So I want to address that. And then the last one, my life insurance providers. And I know this is kind of small, so I'll make it a little bit bigger. For my life insurance providers, there's a lot of discussion around MPI and whether or not a maximum premium indexing is sufficient enough to be able to generate, build wealth, or use in retirement. And life insurance, I've run across probably 5 this week who swear up and down that a properly designed whole life policy or a properly designed IUL is better than a secure compound interest account that's structured in the form of premium financing, also known as MPI. So I just want to kind of address this. So those are the 3 areas I want to address. But let's get into it first by just reminding everyone what I mean when I say pay yourself first. This is the wealth equation. It is an algebraic equation that basically says this: pay yourself first, starting today. Put your money somewhere secure. Compound your money. And then as you're compounding your money, you want to add leverage to it so that you can exponentially grow the money that you have. How many vehicles do you know address all 5 of these buckets? There's not very many. There are more than one, but there's not very many. Your traditional IRA, 401k, 403b, TSP, government 457 plan does not address all of these buckets. It can address majority of them, but not all of them. And the main reason why is because your money is tied up in the stock market. And because your money's tied up in the stock market, what does that cause? That introduces risk. The more risk you introduce, the less compounding you have, the compounding ability, I guess, you have inside of the product that we're working with. So the goal is to reduce the risk. So if we can secure your money, then compound your money, then exponentially grow it, it does some amazing things. And as I mentioned, I hover around these Dave Ramsey groups. And this is just a picture of one of the posts that I'm referencing. And I'll try to make it large enough. Yeah, as I mentioned, when I had taken a picture of it, there was about 155 answers. And I'm telling you, they were all the same. And so the question goes like this: hello, if you had $140,000 in the bank and your mortgage was $95,000, 3% interest rate, $500 a month, pretty awesome interest rate, pretty awesome monthly payment, what would you do? So I've got money in the bank. I've got liquid cash in the bank. I've got a house that's has a $95,000 mortgage owed on it. And I've got it. It's a decent mortgage payment and a decent interest rate. What would you do? And to a person, every comment under this post was, take that $140,000 and pay off that home. Take, or I guess, $95,000 of that $140,000 and pay off that home. And I did not see one person question, even just throw out a why, or hey, is there a better way? Or what are some different options? It was to a person, pay off the home. And I just wanted to connect a few dots. One being this: $500 a month, 5 times 12 is $6,000 a year. We're going to take $95,000 of our liquidity, pay off a home that's costing us $6,000 a year. And if you work backwards, $500 a month, 3% interest rate, $95,000 owed on the balance. If you work backwards, about how long would it take for that $95,000 to just be paid off normally? Well, if you slide over to the other side of the vibe board, I threw these numbers in the calculator. Into the mortgage calculator. Sweetheart.
Yep. I'm in the chat. We got some shares in here.
It's all good. So I threw these numbers in the calculator. These aren't 100% accurate, but I feel like I'm pretty dang close. At $95,000 being the home price, and I know he said 3%. I threw in 2% because I couldn't make this math work for it to be $500 a month. And what I came out with, $95,000 would take about 16 years to pay it off. So what that means is he's got about 16 years left. Maybe it's like 15.8, about 16 years left on this mortgage. So again, if he was to put if you just continue paying the $500 a month, hell, use the $140 that he has and take $6,000 of that every year to pay off the mortgage if you wanted to. But if he was just to continue paying the mortgage, he would have paid in interest about 16 grand. So again, it would have taken him 16 years and he would have paid in interest an additional 16 grand. So we're going to take $95,000 of liquid cash to pay off the mortgage to save $16,000 of interest. Some might say that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, about, what is it? You said 1,000 comments?
1,000 comments.
1,000 people just today said that that was a good thing. Yeah.
But my question is, what else could have been done with this $140,000 to maybe at least, like, how long would it take for that $100,000 in a high yield savings account at 5% to produce the same $6,000 a year? Because we're only talking about $500 a month, $6,000 a year, 16 years. You would pay the bank an additional $16,000 a mortgage. So why would you give up that liquidity? And so it started me to wondering, what else could I do with this money? And obviously, I immediately jumped to a secure compound interest account. But before I went there, my thought process was this, and this is where the life insurance providers come into play. This group that I troll in without making comments, there's a lot of life insurance people inside of there. And the thought process is this: why not put that money to work inside of an IUL? That's an option. So what my thought process today is to take a portion of this dollar amount, put it inside of an IUL, and then also take that same dollar amount, put it inside of NPI. Let's compare the two. And let's understand what the differences would be. So again, instead of worrying about this $16,000 of interest, what I would like to do is take this liquid cash and put it to work. And at the same time, still pay the house off in that same 15, 16 years, whatever the time frame may be.
All right.
And so if you slide over back to the other side of the board.
Oh, okay. Oh, you know what? It's going to make that noise again. Let's see
all
if we
good.
can do this way. Here we go.
Let's do the sound.
Oh.
Doom, 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 da, da. So if we were to simply take this dollar amount and dump it into an IUL. So what dollar amount am I referencing? So what I did was, instead of taking all 140,000, what I said was, what if we would take $100,000 as a one-time lump sum and $10,000 a year? So if he's got 140, he could take 10,000 for the next 4 years and fund it, but then $10,000 a year. And I only ran this out to like 10. I'm looking at it somewhere around 10 years. So again, $100,000 lump sum. He's got 140,000 liquid. We're going to take 100,000 of it, put 100,000 in one time into an IUL. And then from that IUL, we're just going to grow, let it see what it does. And in 10 years, we're going to reassess and say, hey, can I still pay this house off? Should I still pay this house off? Is there a problem? Well, what I'm also showing here is the amount of cash value that would be accumulated inside of that IUL. Meaning, if you've put in 110,000 in year one, there's about $50,000 of surrender value, of cash value available to you that you can use. And so as you're putting in another $10,000 in year two, that 50,000 increases to 64. So pretty simple. And this red line here is not really that big of a deal. This is your MEC limit. Because another piece that life insurance people like to say is, hey, the reason we don't like IULs is because of all of that leverage, you could be putting yourself in a position where you're going to MEC the policy.
Yeah.
Well,
might as well not even risk it.
Right. So in a traditional IUL, there's so much room here. Right. So you can't make the policy in this IUL, which is awesome. So you put in 100,000, you're putting in $10,000 a year, and there's a whole lot of room in here. And look at the cash value you're building. And this cash value, you can't make the policy based off cash value. So that line doesn't matter here. But look at the awesome growth that you've got over time inside of this IUL. And not all IULs are the same. Structure matters. This has to be a max funded, MAX, max funded, meaning we're purchasing the least amount of life insurance legally possible for that 110,000. This has to be an option B policy, meaning as you put in more money, as the cash value increases, the death benefit increases.
Okay.
And again, so structure matters. So assuming this is a properly structured IUL, I think this is actually pretty good. I think there's a properly structured whole life policy that could probably beat it. But at any rate, this is pretty good performance. And my wife didn't have time to make anything because I didn't share anything with her, because this came out of me probably about an hour and a half before we did this live. So there was nothing to create other than my fingers. So I apologize.
But I really like all your graphs.
There we go. I tried.
Some nice graphs.
I was trying to go slow. And not,
yeah,
mess up the world. So, but what if we were to do this exact same action inside of an MPI plan? So a couple things. This highlighted area, this underlined black, we're calling relock. Relock is just leverage, meaning I'm borrowing money from the life insurance company. That's all that means. So if we're looking at the exact same time frame, I put in $100,000 one time plus $10,000 annually. So only thing I'm contributing is $10,000. I am not contributing any of this. This is coming to me from the life insurance company. So putting in the same $10,000 and that $100,000 one-time lump sum, in year 2, I'm going to contribute my same 10, but I'm going to add $50,000 of leverage. Where is that $50,000 of leverage coming from? Do these numbers look familiar? This leverage is coming from the same cash value that was grown inside, because all MPI is an IUL. The foundation of an MPI plan is an IUL, and we're adding leverage to it. Leverage inside of an IUL is all MPI is. It is nothing special. As of today, you can't get leverage inside of an IUL from anywhere other than a premium finance strategy like MPI. It may not always be that way, but as of today, that is the only place you can. So where is this leverage coming from? Well, in year 1, when we created that $50,000 of cash value, notice that $50,000 is then being added as leverage inside of this MPI plan at year 2. So we're taking the growth from year 1 and adding it in year 2. So all I'm doing is taking these dollar amounts and adding them into this policy, which means instead of there only being $10,000 working for me, now there's $10,000 plus I'm leveraging an additional 50. So that $10,000 on average is making me 7%. The leverage dollar amount, this $50,000, is making on average 7% as well, but there's a cost to borrow. It costs me 4% to borrow it. So the leveraged amount that I'm using a full 60 in year 2, and I'm making on average 3% on this dollar amount plus a 7% on the amount that I contributed. Notice this room here. Again, inside of an IUL, there's a lot of room. No way you can make the policy. Inside of MPI, notice how that room is less. And in addition, I want to make sure what's understood around what does making a policy mean. Meaning, if I exceed the amount of guideline max that I've been approved for, in this case, it's $110,000. If I exceed that, then I lose all of the tax benefits inside of this product. So the last thing we want to do is exceed this line.
We have a question about the relock. Can you just clarify what year and when that happens?
So the relock kicks in a traditional MPI plan at year 3. So year 1, this policy functions just like an IUL. In year 2, policy functions just like an IUL. But in year 3, because we've met the obligation of you funded your policy consecutively for year 1 and year 2, you're able to borrow, leverage all of the cash value from year 1 and pull that into year 3. That is a traditional MPI related policy, just so we're clear.
Okay.
Does that help?
So,
and notice though, I'm exceeding this line starting here. Well, here's the thing. Here's the way MEC actually works. Because of this room, I have room to be able to fund my policy. As of right now, it's underfunded in year 2. It's underfunded in year 3. It's underfunded in year 4. It's underfunded in year 5. Well, if I'm adding more leverage inside of the policy, I actually have room to be able to add that leverage without making my policy because I have this room to make up for. So what I'm doing here is I'm adding this amount of leverage to cover this room. And then at some point, I'm even. At this point, because I've used up all of the space inside my policy, I would have to qualify for more death benefit, which means I would have to jump the policy. I'm not going to get into a jump today, but my point is the naysayers, or those who don't fully understand MPI, scream that the ability to make your policy is high. Well, if it's designed properly and you have someone that's working with these dollar amounts and understands what they're doing, it's impossible.
Oh, but most policies are not designed for retirement income. So therefore, the management of those who are helping you with managing your policy are not considering retirement income. So that kind of concept isn't as sensitive. Therefore, front loading them makes more sense because the whole point is selling you more insurance.
Front loading it makes sense because the guy selling it to you also makes more money,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
But it doesn't necessarily mean that it grows faster if it's not structured like this. And I think that's
Exactly.
where a lot of people might be misunderstanding the concept of front loading too, because everything you put in year one, you get to, that's what the
Leverage
relock uses in year
three.
three. Yeah.
Exactly. So the larger you make year one, the larger year three. The larger you make year one, the more compounding happens inside of this policy. And that's kind of what this next visual shows. So what does that cash value look like inside of MPI compared to a traditional IUL? Again,
Dang.
because I front loaded this policy with $100,000, added my 10 grand, and then I'm leveraging a certain dollar amount every year inside this policy. What ends up happening is the cash value that I have available, the dollar amount that I'm able to use to go do infinite banking, leverage against as income, increases. It goes back to the wealth equation. Pay myself first, starting today, somewhere secure, compound your money, and then you add leverage to exponentially grow your money. So what's happening is this dollar amount is exponentially taking off. And notice the difference, the difference between these dollar amounts. It's almost like they're starting to double. And you're jumping from 287,000 up to 325. What does it look like at year 10 inside of a regular IUL? Again, inside of MPI, we're talking 287,000. What does that year 10 look like inside of a regular IUL? How about 220? So they're pretty close. But then at year 11, it takes off. 287 versus 220 compared to 245 and 325. It's $100,000 difference. And this is me and my poor handwriting showing what this looks like.
No,
But if you jump
good. It's looking good.
Appreciate that. But if you jump over to the calculator, let's look at what it shows inside the calculator. Again, using these exact same dollar amounts. So if we jump over to the calculator, and I made some assumptions.
Okay.
In this, obviously the guy that made the post didn't say how old he was.
Yeah.
But if he has $95,000 left to pay off his home and he's sitting on about $140,000 in cash, I put him at age 45. And so, and what I'm saying is, if it takes 15, 16 years to pay off this home, what if we allowed this dollar amount to compound for 15 years? And what is that dollar amount? Okay, so from 45, let's do 15 years first. And then I'll back it down and show you what it looks like in 10. So 45 for 15 years, he'd be at age 60, putting in $100,000 one time. And even though this calculator is going to divide that 100,000 in half, the math still maths. And he's putting away $10,000 a year, which is approximately $833 a month. So 45 to age 60, 15 years is the amount of time that it would take for him to pay off his home. So instead of paying off his home, instead of taking that $100,000 paying off the home, we're going to take the $100,000, get it working for us, drop in $10,000 a year. I'm using that remaining 40 to pay 4 years of it. And yes, we got to figure it out the remaining, 11 years. But the bottom line is, what does this look like? How about $73,000 tax-free for the rest of your life, starting at age 60? And you've got liquid cash value of $603,000. All because instead of paying off your home to save $11,000, you continued paying your $500 a month mortgage, paid the bank $11,000 in interest, so that you could make $73,000 tax-free with liquid cash value of $603,000. And that's at 15 years.
15 years.
But what does this look like at year 10? If you remember year 10, let's see, hold on, let me do it first. 10 years, he'd be 55. Year 10, as I mentioned, $325,000 of cash value, compared to, I believe it was $225 inside of an IUL. So at a minimum, you would have $100,000 more in cash value. Mm-hmm. And if you needed to pay off 10 years later, the house wouldn't be paid off, right? So 10 years of $60,000 is 60 grand. You would have paid off, right? Yeah, 60 grand of that 95,000 would have been paid off. You could pay off half of it right now in your sleep, or you could pay off all of it with not a care in the world. So you wouldn't have paid the bank $11,000 in interest. You may have paid them $8,000 in interest.
But look what you got in return. And that's the point.
That's
Yeah.
it. You turned because currently your home is just a liability. You have a mortgage on it. And instead
Right.
of taking your liquid cash and dumping it onto your home to turn your home into an asset, because that's at the end of the day, that's what you're doing.
Or you think you're doing.
Right. You ended up taking that liquid cash, putting it into an actual asset that's leveraging your life.
Right.
You are the asset.
Right.
And as you continue to live, that $100,000 is turning into more like $325,000 over 10 years. Income of about $38,000 tax free. And again, you play this out the full 15 years, you're putting yourself in a position to have a pretty decent tax free income.
Okay. Now what you're showing us now is 10 years, right?
This is 10 years. That is correct.
Okay. And then you give it just 5 more years.
5 more years. So till age 60, 45
Yep.
till age 60. 73,886, 73,000 tax free. Your cash value doubled. 603,000 in cash value. You would have put in about 250,000. So your $100,000 plus the 10,000 a year would have put in about 250,000. You would have leveraged from the life insurance company about 1.4 million. Again, that's that leveraged dollar amount. Where does that leveraged dollar amount come from? It comes from the cash value that is being generated inside of your IUL. It's the same cash value that these life insurance producers argue that you can't do inside of MPI. It's the same cash value. If this was a whole life policy, it's the same cash value that's being generated by that dollar amount that's sitting in the general fund. It's no different. These are the same dollar amounts. We're just leveraging them differently.
Right. Okay. So the guy in the post, though, he said he had $140,000 in cash.
140 in cash.
And he owed 95 on the house.
That is correct.
And
Paying
but where did you
$500
get
a month, 3%.
where did you get the $833 a month?
833 times 12 is 10,000.
So 10,000 a year in
10,000 a
addition
year.
to that lump sum is what you're saying.
10,000 a year in addition to the 100,000. I didn't take the full 140.
Yeah.
I only used 100,000. What I'm saying is that remaining 40, we're going to spread over 4 years. And
Oh,
yes,
got it.
from year 4 on, you have to find $10,000 a year.
But you just showed them that in year 5 you could pay off the house, so then that frees up the money to then you could continue funding it from there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm following. Is everybody else following the math on this? Because this is the first time I'm really seeing what it is that you're
Yeah, like I
doing.
said, this came to me a couple hours before this thing, so I know there may be some pieces that I'm even missing here, but I don't think I am.
No, I don't think you are either. And here's my other question. We don't know what this guy was doing before he even posted this or what his strategy has been up until this point. Here's when I look at these baby steps and I see that baby step number 4 is 15% of your income into retirement after you have paid off all of your debt. Step 4, okay? How long does it take you to get to step 4?
Right. How many compound cycles did you lose getting to step 4? Yes.
Yeah, because step 3, and these are like cardinal rules. People have them programmed in their mind. If you were to walk down a street, we should do that sometime, by the way. We should walk down the street with a microphone and ask people whether they should pay off debt first or invest. If you had this amount of money, and give them a simple equation, right? And then ask them what they think, just to see where they've already been programmed. We already know the answer, but I think people need to see the difference, no different than what you've done. This is not the first example that we've given of showing a different result for the same problem, right?
And here's
Specific to Dave Ramsey's callers or people.
I think where people get lost, because when I looked at the post, man, I've got 140,000. The house only costs 95. Of course, I'm going to pay this house off. Like that's the first emotional move that I felt when I read this post.
Yeah.
But then when you sit back and go, wait a minute, he's paying $500 a month. $500 a month is $6,000 a year. if he's got 140,000 in cash, is six grand a year really that difficult? So I'm going to
Yeah.
spend $100,000 to make 6,000? Like that's not logical to me.
Yeah, but have you ever seen somebody's Pinterest board? Okay, here's how it goes. You think to yourself, like, I could make that myself, right? And you go on Pinterest and you're like, oh, hell yes, I'm trying this. I'm getting all this stuff. By the time you get all this stuff to then make it yourself, and the most rewarding process is going to be that you nailed it. And there's hashtag Pinterest fails for a reason, because not only did you spend 3 times the amount of money on the supplies and the time and everything else, but it's also not as awesome. It might have been a fun process, but it's expensive. And if you have money to throw into the wind when it comes to that, if we're talking like a $50 craft, then that's not the point. The point is that in this type of situation, it's no different. It's the how you do one thing is how you do everything. And if you can save yourself $16,000 because you don't know, here's the thing. It's not that people are not getting it. It's that they've not heard of
Right.
any other options. And so in their mind, with the options that are available to them, saving yourself $16,000 seems like it's an amazing thing. I want you to show them what would have happened if he would have gotten started on this. Let's say he's at the point where he got this 140, but he's been on his debt-free journey, right?
Well, hold on, because I think we can back into that. Because
Okay.
here's what I mean. We've established that it's going to take, I think the actual number is 15.8 years to pay the home off, which means he's 14.2 years ahead. So if you go back 14 years, that's when this journey started.
Fair.
Now, yes, he could have been putting extra money on his mortgage. There's many different factors here. But in essence, if we're talking about a 30-year mortgage,
We don't know where he got the 140 at either. It could have been from an inheritance.
there's all sorts of factors here that we could play with. My point is, if we wanted to go back, I would say that 14 years is a pretty safe place to go back to. But I want to mention one other piece that you stated earlier.
Okay.
Baby step 4 says 15% of your income now goes towards your retirement.
Yeah.
Well, it is very specific as to what or where that retirement is. It is a Roth IRA. That's where that 15% is supposed to go.
Just
So if you would-
any Roth IRA, you could
Well,
just find one and then be like,
Dave has his index funds that he likes, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so,
yeah, okay.
so this is where he, hey, fall into my funnel.
yeah, yeah.
But the thought process is, hey, you're going to max out your company 401k and get a Roth IRA is where you're putting that 15%. If you would look at the other side of the calculator, it's talking to those who would have put that money inside that Roth IRA. It
Yeah.
doesn't look any better.
Well, the other side meaning the Roth side. You want to,
Meaning the Roth side.
yeah. Well, here we go. Let's, it takes like a second for that to kick in. Okay.
So if you would have taken this same $250,000 and put
Mm-hmm.
it into a Roth IRA, same 250,
Yep.
you would actually have more in your Roth IRA than you would inside of a product like this.
And a lot of people would just stop with the
Right.
information at that point because it makes
Because your
it sound
financial
good.
advisor is going,
Yeah.
I told you we would do better. Mm-hmm. Except when it's time to take income,
Yeah.
26,000 compared to 73,000.
Man, and there are so many influencers and people who do personal finance content on social media everywhere talking about the safe withdrawal rate, because even the word safe withdrawal rate, this is like stuff. I got to know this stuff, right? I'm going to follow this person because they know stuff about what's safe to plan for, safety, because it has the word safe in it.
Security.
Yeah, even that
Right.
word. Yeah, sure. Yep. And now Roth is now attributed to having a value of better or more secure or whatever. It's deflating when you see that what's a part of that equation, because I would agree with them that if you're looking at all the traditional options out of traditional vehicles, this does look good. Roth does look the best, right? It looks like the best chance that you have at
Tax-free.
saving taxes. Right, exactly. Because you don't know what the taxes are going to be later on down the line.
I'm not giving the government an open checkbook to charge me whatever. So absolutely, I'm going Roth, right?
Right. Except for we've already gone through this part, which I don't know if you have on your board that you could show. If not, I can bring it up. It's the inflation rate. When you look at, we're right now, pretend like we were in the 80s when I showed that example last time. $40,000 is the same as 120,000 today. What is it going to be in 40 years from now? Well, it's going to be 206,000. That's what it is. And what this is saying is starting today, starting right now with the same equation, you're going to have $26,000 safely to live off of. Well, my
When
darling,
you
that's not
need
going to be
four
enough.
times that in
Yeah,
order to maintain the same lifestyle.
that's right. And who's going to be the one to break it down for you? It's going to be your trusted advisor or whoever else. I promise you, nobody from Dave Ramsey is going to be calling you up when you go to start taking out safely, and they're not going to call you up and say, "Oh, our bad. That's all you have to live off of after all these years of trusting us." That
They're not going
sucks
to
for
go
you.
anywhere near that because they're going to say, but you have $50,000 more in this account than you would have. Like you're winning.
No, nobody cares about that. But the point is that not only do you not have leverage in the meantime, because you can't leverage this in the meantime either from your Roth account.
Right. That is correct.
It's not liquid. You cannot leverage it. So that's another difference. Can you do this favor for me though? Because I want to show this part
I do
for
anything
me.
for you.
Okay, thank you. Can you show if they would have started like step 2? Let's just say step 1 is the emergency fund, right? Okay, fine. Step 2 is now you're starting to whittle away at the debt, right? Credit card debt, whatever the debt is. This is where it takes people so long is step 2 and step 3. Step 2 is the debt. Step 3 is to save 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. So on top of the emergency fund, now you have to be able to save this up. Depending on people's income, this can take them anywhere from a few months to 10 or 12 years.
Easily.
Okay, so let's go back and let's show them if this is not a this then that, right? It can't be. It can't possibly be because you're losing time.
Yep.
Can you show them on the calculator? Go back at least 10 years.
So 10 years. Can we also agree that 10 years prior, he probably doesn't have 140,000?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. This is a
So
totally different thing. Let's
so
just say that when he gets the 140,000 at this day and age, right? 10 years later, he starts another policy on his kids or something. Let's just show them what the difference would be if he were to be doing the same amount, 833 a month,
10
but
years
he would
prior,
start 10 years prior, right?
35. So 35 to 60, so 25 years as opposed to 15.
With no lump sum.
No lump sum.
See? Make it make sense, right? It doesn't make sense because even you still can't live off of this amount.
Right. And assuming his home is double what it is today,
Right.
he could still pay his home off.
Yeah. He could have been paid his home off before he even had the conversation about the 140,000, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And God forbid if something were to happen to him, he's passing on $2.3 million as a legacy. An IRA wishes it could.
The little IRA that wished it could. I hear a book series coming out. I'm loving these comments. They are just like, he said, sounds like a beans and rice retirement.
But here's the thing. The safe withdrawal rate, though, what we have to, because I don't think it's registering, it's 4% today. Today. By the time I am in a position to be able to retire, let's call it 15 years from now,
Oh, this is a good point.
the safe withdrawal rate will not be 4%. It can't.
Right. Right.
It can't.
Right.
Inflation won't allow it to be 4%.
Right.
The safe withdrawal rate will be closer to 3.
And the retirement age just keep
At least
going
it's
up.
75. Easy
Yeah.
75, if not 77. Easy.
So one of the things that I also wanted to bring up about this is also that it's not a lot. There's so many people who use this phrase, like these common things, these phrases that are normal, like even if I wanted to retire, even if I could retire, I can't
Right.
because of the age.
Right.
And there are so many things that are just normalized about this. And again, it's information, it's programming, but then who benefits?
That's it.
Who benefits if Dave Ramsey and his friends can fix all your problems and give you this straight shot, and you're not going to be struggling the entire time? How are they going to make money? Because you
Gotta
got to
keep
keep
sheep
coming
sheep.
back, right?
Gotta
You got
keep
to
sheep
keep
sheep.
coming back, going, golly, this is hard. I need support. If you have a winning strategy, you need cheering for it. You don't need the support necessarily saying this is really hard. And then on top of that, God, I keep hitting this thing. And then on top of that, but you think this is hard. You think paying off your debt. You think saving up all this money. You think trying to make it. And the FIRE method is like live off of 50% of your income, minimalism, all of these concepts that people have to adopt, and their lifestyles are just like grueling and they suck because of all the sacrifice that has to go down in order to fit in these boxes. These boxes that still ain't going to serve you at the end. How pissed would you be? It's like the Squid Games. Right? How pissed would you be if you didn't realize that you signed up for a game where people are just like picked off because it's not designed for everyone to win?
Right. Never was.
Yeah, you just have to keep working until you drop, and then maybe there's going to be a winner out of the bunch. Out of the bunch of people who signed up with you, maybe there's going to be a couple people that actually get to retire. Like, do you have pom-poms for them? Are we having memorial services for the rest of the people who paid into this program and didn't make it? But this is why there are lawsuits, and there are more of the laws that are being put in place, or they're trying to put them in place to protect people from this type of stuff.
But hold on, because we also have to address our velocity banking people. I probably had 3, if not 4 conversations this week around, hey, what's your goal? My goal is to pay off my home. Why? Well, I hadn't thought about that part.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's pay off your home. Magic wand, poof, it's paid off.
Yeah.
How long did it take you? How many compound cycles did you lose? How much money did you lose? How much growth, how much wealth was eliminated because you decided to take these next 10 years and not pay yourself first?
Yeah.
So I think as much as I love velocity banking and being able to put yourself in a much better cash flow position, at the end of the day, I'm also speaking to those that paying off your home part. I get it if it's needed because it's a burden and you need to put yourself in a position so that you would have more cash flow to be able to build wealth. Get it. But that's not always the case. A lot of times we're paying off this home because we feel good about it, because it makes us feel better. Conditioning.
Well, and like I said in the beginning, it's almost like a cardinal sin to have this much debt. So it's almost the you can't have your dessert until you've cleaned your plate, right?
Right.
And cleaning your plate in your personal finance is cleaning up your mess. Like, that's cleaning your room. You got to, the mess that you've made, the debt that you have agreed to and you've committed to, you got to go and you got to pay it off first, and then you can start to save, and then you can start thinking about your well-being. There are so many people who are living below the the living wage, right? Or at living wage.
Right.
And the concepts of the predatory marketing that are done to people, and even the culture, debt-free culture. It could be even the mindset culture, like go out and buy the nicest of things, because then you'll program yourself that you are worth nice things, and then you're going to manifest a ton of money into your life, and that's going to work out for you. Like, the universe is going to love you if you go out and you buy that Gucci purse, girl. Get it. And then she buys the purse, and then the money's not coming, because it's not how it works, right? But you know who got the commission is the person who sold the Gucci purse, and it worked for them. Like, you deserve it. You know what else you deserve? Financial security. You know what else you deserve? To never have to wonder if you're going to be okay, or that there isn't something that you can't afford, or that you have to say, I have to do things to make myself feel better because my situation sucks so bad. I feel horrible about it. So you know what? Screw it. I'm going and buying this purse, or whatever it is. I'm not talking about purses, so don't come for me if you like purses. It's not the point. let me just pull this back. The point is that we just have a culture of making decisions that we've normalized, and debt-free culture, velocity banking culture, right, is no different. You will go 10 years, 5 years, doesn't matter. They're like, yeah, but it's in a short amount of time paying off your debt. And then what? You've lost that time. Not only is it more expensive to insure you, but while you're paying off your house, while you're prioritizing all that, you'll have a house that's paid off so that you can die in it because you can't afford health care because you're broke. You have a house that's paid off. Thank those people for helping you and for making it like their pulpit moment of this is why it's so important. And you can't afford to eat because you have no money and you have no income. And now you can't qualify for anything like this because in that time period, maybe something in your health did change. Once you're qualified, you're qualified. You don't get unqualified.
Permanent life insurance.
That's right. You don't get unqualified because something happens, and that's the point. If we would, this would be mandatory out the womb that we have to do this for everybody. Can you imagine the world we'd be living in?
And that's the scary part for those who kind of hold all the cards at the moment. Because what you're talking about is that age 0 to 35. Again, I want to normalize retire early. There is not, you can't find me a commercial that talks about, hey, if you use our retirement plan, it will allow you to fire your job come age 50, 45, 48. And that's the part. It doesn't exist. And so if we can just simply shift the thought process around, how do we leverage our positions today, our income, our jobs, the company that we work for, to put us in a position such that we can create this, we're leveraging and creating this vehicle. So when we're ready, we can have our WTF moment.
We got some really good questions.
Yes, jump in.
I'm just gonna randomly pick them, guys, because there's a lot in here. So let's just
Yeah,
do
we
a
have been kind of just going, haven't we?
Yeah, we have, and I did not mean to just like not pay attention to the chat because it's going down in here. She says, "How do you know if this company will be around in 30 years?"
Okay. So at first have to understand what it is we're talking about. Maximum premium indexing, premium financing is a strategy, no different than infinite banking. Infinite banking is a strategy, no different than velocity banking. Velocity banking is a strategy. So it's a strategy applied to a life insurance product. So where are you getting the life insurance product from? It has to be an A+ rated life insurance company that has the ability to sustain. And who do we use? We use mutual companies who have been around since before the Great Depression. So through the Great Depression, through the dot-com bubble, through COVID, through all of these ups and downs that we have in our market, if you kind of peel back the layers on who has survived all of those things, it has been life insurance companies. And so I agree with you. It has to be a reputable company that's going to be here in the future. And that's exactly who we work with. But just remember, what we're talking about is a strategy applied to this policy with the reputable company. Let's say the strategy is not around in 30 years. The strategy is what's applied to meaning the company that owns a strategy, that strategy is applied to your policy. So the strategy is the strategy. It's not going anywhere. It can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
The key is the life insurance company that your policy is with has to be a reputable company that, again, can sustain whatever the ails are of the market. And that's exactly who we work with.
But this is a valid concern because when you hear MPI, you would think
Sounds new.
it sounds right. It sounds like
Too
this
good
is
to be true.
well, and on top of that, like a new company, we've seen even banks that have been in business for tons of years. We've seen them go under. So why would I trust this insurance company with this new thing that's going to do whatever you said it was going to do? Miss me in 20 years when I find out it's not true. But knowing that Mutual of Omaha, for instance, they made it through the Great Depression. They have a plan. They've made it through a lot of changes in the economy and in the market. And so if they can make it through that, their life insurance, they're going to make it though. You know what I mean? And I think there are bigger players in the scene than even banks.
The industries that are known to make it are those who provide death and taxes. Taxes are going to always be there, and people are always going to die. So that's where the bulk of the money is absolutely made. But I think one last piece around that is the security piece. If you notice the visuals that I use, this strategy rather that I'm showing is a strategy that has been in place for since whole life policy was invented. Because all we're using is cash value from the growth inside of your policy and leveraging it. It's a leveraged IUL. And it just so happens it's a patented strategy. But in essence, it's just a leveraged IUL, meaning
Yeah.
we're leveraging the cash value that we've already accumulated to be able to put back into our policy. But where did this strategy come from? This strategy originated in 1997. This strategy started when Roth started. Who questions Roth?
No, that's not true though, because when Roth first started coming out was in the 90s, and just now people are talking about it. I remember when you and Rick would, like, decade ago, more than a decade ago, when you guys would, they fly you in to discuss self-directed retirement accounts, self-directed 401k, self-directed IRA. And most people were like, a self-directed 401k, you could do that? I don't believe it, right? No,
Sounds
I
too
don't
good to be
believe it.
true.
And then they would say, "Oh, what's this Roth? How do I Rothicize?" Like, you guys were making up words like Rothicize, because this language did not exist. It was not common. Hundreds of people in these rooms, in these conferences, and they're going, "I could do that?" Had no idea I could do that. And you're going, "Yeah, no, not only do we do it all the time, but we have thousands of people who have set up accounts and they're doing it too." This is how people are winning. And just social media hadn't really taken off by then. And so there wasn't a lot of people talking about it. Even if they were, why would they be doing videos? It just was not common for people to do videos and educate people at that time. And if they did, it was likely that they were like following some Carlton Sheets type of thing. You know what I mean? With a whole series of DVDs and cassette tapes that you could purchase, they're programmed to teach you how to do this versus just getting out there and sharing it. So I think you guys were the only ones, because that website is decades old. It's like 20 years old. And there are countless articles in the blog section, selfdirectedretirementplans.com. And there's countless articles talking about Roth from the very beginning of this website. So I would venture to say people don't talk about Roth in this way and they don't question it today, but that does not mean that they hadn't for at least a solid decade after it was even released.
Exactly. And all I'm saying is the premium finance strategy started at the same time. It just so happens, though, that we, people like you and I,
Yeah.
couldn't qualify for a premium finance strategy. Why? Because we didn't have $5 million in net worth. Well, remove the banks, remove the $5 million in net worth, remove the credit capability that you need, and now you're able to leverage your own cash value, and it's game on. And again, I say this often, mark my words, this will replace traditional retirement planning.
Yeah. Agreed.
Why? Because companies can't afford the 401ks they have. They can't. This is the return of the pension. This allows you to be able to build income in the company that you're with and take it with you to continue building that income. This will replace traditional retirement planning. Go ahead, sweetheart.
Because companies are struggling so hard right now to keep people, like employee retention tactics. The 401k was an employee retention tactic, right?
On top of the pension.
Right. But then after people were saying like, well, I'm not putting into the 401k anyway. Like, why would I do that? I don't want to. Because you're not paying me enough to keep my money. I'd rather have my money. I need it for bills, my family. And then they said, hey, but if you put money in this 401k, we will actually give you free money. And then they went, hold on a second, free money. Now this is making sense. Maybe I will consider it. Maybe I will start taking my retirement. You know what? When I now meet with the boss or the VP, or I go to these networking events and they start talking about retirement and 401k, I can be a part of those conversations now because I do have investment accounts that makes me feel some kind of way. That's how all this started off. It's the truth. Some people are just putting into these systems just simply because they don't know anything else to do.
Right. Where else am I supposed to put my money?
However,
What's being advertised to me are these are the only vehicles that are advertised to me.
now the job conditions are getting tougher. Now maybe they've laid off people. Maybe you didn't get that promotion. Maybe the forecast of what inflation was supposed to be, and now you're at the 3-year mark, and you're like, everything you guys said was going to happen. This merger happened. Conditions have changed. These are not the conditions I can live, laugh, love in. Okay, it's not happening for me. I need to go somewhere where I can thrive, and it's not here. And I will like the money I put in my 401k plus the free money that you gave me too. Thank you. We'll just part ways, call it even, no hurt feelings, until they say, oh, no, you can't have that money. Actually, it's not vested. Vested was our way of putting a chain around your ankle and keeping you here because you can't leave without that money. So not only have you put your money in there, we've put our money in there. We've gotten the tax from putting the money in there for you. We've already got the benefit of that, but you will never see any benefit from that money unless you stay. And so forth, all of the other dollars after that first dollar that you put in there. And they go, that's not fair. That's my money. And the only reason why I put money in there was because you were giving me that free money. And so, and if they decide to fire you, you don't get to keep it either. How cool is that? I love that for them, that they get to, it's legal to do this to people, but your MPI plan goes with you from job to job. And I want to go over here to Zaid's comment because, and thank you so much for the feedback. We love feedback. Are you guys feeling what we're talking about? Are you guys like, you know what, I'm so tired. I would much rather just hear the examples and not all the opinions and discussion. Feedback really matters to us. Been following for a month now. Started Velocity Banking 101 via credit card debt tool, and it's working great. Still wrapping my head around MPI and how the tax-free for life income works. Yep. This is why I want to bring this up because we were just talking about Roth, and then we were talking about how this will become the new pension. Why is it though that this does become the new pension? Because even if you were to put you're likely not going to be putting in a Roth IRA or into a Roth 401k or IRA through your job, just simply because the tax benefit is why they're offering it in the first place. So why would they want to be pre-taxed on those dollars, right? So anything you would do would have to be in addition. So if we can wrap our head around the fact that Roth is tax-free income, anything that grows inside of a Roth environment is tax-free. You're paying the taxes up front. How does this compare? Can you explain that to people?
So if you slide over to the calculator, I think I can show and tell. And I think this example is a perfect one to use. So 35 years old till age 60, putting in $833 a month, resulting in about $101,000 in tax-free income for the rest of your life. $101,000 tax-free. Well, where did that 101 come from? Well, it's all based off your cash value. If you look at the correlation between this number and this number, this is approximately 11%. This number right here is 11% of this dollar amount. Well, if you remember the visual where I was showing the leverage being used inside the policy, growing cash value, those bars, those green bars. Well, what happens is because you've put in $250,000 and you've leveraged about 1.5, this cash value is continuing to grow. And that cash value is growing at a rate of 7 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 in perpetuity. So when you average all of that together, your money is growing. This $940,000 on average is growing somewhere between 13 and 22%. Let's just call it 13. So if you make 13% on this 940,000, but you take as a distribution 101,000, which is 11%, you're basically just living off the interest. But still, what makes it tax-free? Okay, the words I use are very, very intentional. The money you're contributing into a product like this, you've already paid tax on. It's money coming from your income, money coming from your savings, money coming from a liquidated asset. So because you've already paid tax on that money, it's going in after tax. And so this vehicle is designed to build tax-free dollars, but you have to maintain that tax-free growth. Well, how do you do that? Well, any dollar amount you take out of this can't be a withdrawal. Now you can take a withdrawal, but if you withdraw money from this 940,000, you will owe taxes on everything after the basis, meaning you lose your tax tax-free benefits if you withdraw money from this dollar amount. So this right here, this 11% is a distribution. What do I mean by distribution? We're taking an 11% distribution from the 13% growth on this number. That 11% distribution is just a fancy word for saying borrow. You are borrowing 101,000 out of this number. But if it's growing at 13% and you take 11, all you're doing is borrowing the interest that's grown, and then the interest that's made pays off what you've just borrowed. So there's nothing to owe. This is not a dollar amount that you now at some point have to pay back, but we are absolutely leveraging this cash value to be able to take this income. And borrowed money is not taxed. An example would be your 401k. Have you ever borrowed money from your 401k? How much tax did you pay when you borrowed a dollar amount from your 401k to go buy a house? Borrowed a dollar amount from your 401k to buy a car? How much tax did you pay? None, because leveraged money is not taxed. This is no different. This $101,000 is not taxed because it's leveraged money. And it's leveraged money that you don't have to pay back because we're using less than what your money is making. So therefore it cancels itself out. In short, that's what that looks like.
And also, safe withdrawal rate says you're withdrawing, which is different.
Well, let's be clear. So on that note, looking at this same dollar amount on this side of the equation, this $34,000, any money you take out of your retirement account, IRA, 401k, 403b, TSP, government 457 plan, 401a, you name it, this is a withdrawal. So this 34,000 is a withdrawal from this 850. So let's think about it. If you withdrew 34,000, now that 850 is 34,000 less. So therefore we need to make up for the money that was taken and hopefully make more to replenish and have enough to be able to take this dollar amount again so we don't run out of money. Because think about it. If you're taking 34,000 every year but not replenishing that 34,000, how long will it take before you run out of money? And that's what's happening with most retirees, because the growth, this is showing a growth of 9%, which I think is pretty good. But if you look at the data, most of us are not making 9% inside of our IRA, our 401k. So if you start taking that $34,000 distribution out of here, if you're not making enough to replenish it, then what's happening is the amount that you're able to take the following year is less. So that's where this safe withdrawal rate comes from. The safe withdrawal rate is statistically done so that you don't run out of money. And as of today, it's 4%. But again, by the time I retire, it will probably be 3.5, if not 3.
Okay, another, Nathan was saying with Askia, time is more valuable than money. Hashtag compound cycles. Yeah.
And I think we just showed it here. We went back 10 years, took out $100,000 lump sum, just did that $10,000 a year going forward. And we have more money, $101,000 tax free, with that 10 years of compounding that we gave to $10,000. So, and again, removing that lump sum. So you're absolutely right. It's all about time. A small amount given a large period of time will always beat a shorter period of time, even with the larger lump sum.
Well, people are also asking, where can I send in my numbers? How can I get a hold of you guys? And so let's talk about that.
Let's do it.
Yes. All right, so here we go. This is where you can do that. You can text us, which I'm about to go check the text right now and see what we've got over there. So my bad.
Now, as it relates to your numbers, the idea behind the workbook is so that you can put your numbers in it to understand where you are, to understand where the opportunities are. And that way, when we do sit down, you have a solid idea as to where things stand and where some of the opportunities may be to be able to improve, grow, increase your cash flow, whatever the case may be. And then when we meet, we can talk over those things. If you would like for me to take a look at those numbers, yes, I will do that. But I also have to have time to do that. But let's say I don't. The key is that you understand what your numbers are.
Yes.
Because the more you understand what your numbers are, the easier of the conversation between us, because I think it's pretty simple. If you've got cash flow, the question is, what are you doing with that cash flow? So what's the goal? If we're talking about negative cash flow, meaning you don't have cash flow, the first objective is to make that a positive number. So I'm going to be looking at what you can turn off, what you can stop doing so you can put yourself in a positive cash flow position. And that's even before we even talk about a debt tool.
Right.
Because a lot of people get hung up with velocity banking on, should I use a credit card? Do I qualify for a PLOC? It's about cash flow. Even without a debt tool, you can still do velocity banking and put yourself in a positive cash flow position. The debt tool just accelerates that payoff. It accelerates that increase in cash flow is what a debt tool does for you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, since you're talking about it, we might as well just bring it up, the velocity banking workbook. Now, here's the other part, because we do get people who call us at all hours of the day or night versus getting on the calendar. That number doesn't actually ring for us because we can't pick up, we're just not available to pick up the phone and take a call on the spot. Wish we were at that level, but we're just not. We don't have that kind of support. But you can leave us a voicemail message. If that voicemail message is like some feedback, that would be helpful for us. Otherwise, if it's a question or if it's, hey, I would like to book a call, just book the call.
Yeah.
Just book the call so that you can get on the calendar, because sometimes it gets pretty full. And here's the other thing that I wanted to say, though, about the workbook. The whole concept of what we're doing is to help you become self-directed. We really do mean that. This is not a buyer coaching program.
Right.
The whole point here is that you don't actually need coaching. You can do this. You can learn how to do this. And then you can go each one, teach one, empower other people. There is nothing that we are doing outside of the like helping you, assisting you in setting up whatever the vehicle is. You're driving. Some of these are self-driving vehicles, but you're the one doing it. You understand because we've educated you on how it works. You understand because we've educated you on how to leverage it. And so therefore the decisions that you make from this point forward do not require support. They won't require for you to feel like, okay, now what do I do? Well, we're here for support. But if you're here to ask, now what do I do? That's different than, can we coach you through this? Because the whole point here is not necessarily to set up some coaching service. That is not what this is about. We really want people to feel empowered. And if we're not doing a good enough job making people feel empowered, then we need to do a better job of that versus adding a coaching or a class or something like that we have to charge for. People need help. We have a crisis on our hands. We do not need any more coaches. We do not need any more courses or classes that you have to pay for. Gatekeeping, yes, is exactly what it is. Because half of this stuff is just what ChatGPT can tell you now. Sorry, cat's out the bag. That's really what it is. But I think people being able to use and leverage these tools, even something like ChatGPT, if you don't understand it, then you don't know how to leverage it, right? Just as an example, AI is a perfect example of that. So many people are going to be without their usual hustle. So side hustles, all of these things that people are betting on and waging their future with these types of ideas or concepts. You need something better. We need something more secure. We need something solid. And it can't be at the cost of our future. It can't be at the cost of our kids' future either. If you have kids, if you have parents right now, you've got to be thinking about them. Do they have enough? How do you know? How do you know if they have enough? And how do you know that burden is not going to fall to you?
Right.
We got to be prepared, guys. And we're getting prepared together. We grow farther and faster when we grow together. And we truly do believe that. Oh, gosh, what did I do here? I did the super zoom. I got some new setups now, and I got visual accessibility things added in here. And so sometimes if I double click, then all of a sudden it just gets really big. Cool. I like it.
I love that for you.
Thanks. I really do like it. I'm like, I can see everything. Look at me. Okay. We had some other questions, so go ahead.
No problem. But I like what you did there because I don't think other people caught it, but I caught it. You're advocating. You were advocating for me, and I appreciate that because because I know you. I mean, we talk about this all the time. I get asked a lot, how much does it cost to hire you?
Yeah.
And you can't. I'm a licensed fiduciary. It would be illegal for me to charge you for my time. So you can't hire me. And none of these tools should cost you anything from anyone. They shouldn't, because these are strategies. Now, to have a life insurance policy, it costs you a monthly premium. That's the cost. To have a self-directed 401k, we have to have some conversations with the state, create LLCs, build structure, align banks. That's the cost. But as far as walking through a strategy or understanding how to build wealth using a strategy, what are we paying for? Like there shouldn't be a cost to that. No one should be charging you for that. Because to
Right.
your point, there's too many tools out there that we have access to that we can actually do this on our own.
Yeah. And I think it's easier if people make you feel like you can't do it on your own. So then you're not even attempting to because you don't want to do it wrong. And then you have to hire them. And I think that's where this is $1 billion industry, right? And there's a ton of people go watch the Retirement Gamble just to understand where this all started and why it's completely legal for people to do this. And they don't even have to be credible in order to do it, right? And this is just we can be enthusiastic. We could have a happy energy or whatever you want to say. We could be out here leading people down the wrong path enthusiastically, and people might enjoy listening to it, but they wouldn't know that they're going down the wrong path if we're
It's too
saying
late.
till it's too late, right? And that's the thing is that there are problems we can identify. There are solutions that we go, okay, let me do the math. Do the math on what we show you. Do your own math. Come back and tell us if we missed something. Like, we would love it. Not because we love a challenge, but because we also don't, we're pretty sure we don't know everything about everything.
Well, and you said it before, we learn and we grow together.
Yeah.
How else do we improve?
Yeah. And what if there's an opportunity out there that we aren't aware of? I can think of so many opportunities that have been brought our way that we didn't even know these types of opportunities existed. Simply because somebody else was like, "Hey, did you know about this?" Or maybe the cap to get into those opportunities were way far out of our range.
Right.
But they said, you want to pitch in on this? Like, we could go in together and created a way for us to be able to take advantage of the opportunity. We can get creative. That's my point. We can get creative on how to solve some of these, but it just takes somebody to understand fully what the problem is and what's available within the solutions, at least the ones that they know of, and then we can start adding more as we learn about them, right? What we can't do, though, is just can't count out where solutions currently are, because it just seems hard, or it seems like this then that. And I think for this live stream, if we could just focus on one particular sentiment and like this is a cardinal rule. It is not this then that.
Right.
Two things can be moving at the same time, and it's called currency for a reason, because it's a current. It's supposed to flow. When you're doing this then that, what you're saying is no different than we're gonna make Thanksgiving dinner, but we're going to cook and eat one thing at a time. That's what we're gonna do. Just one of the sides, and then after we're done eating that, we're going to start making the other side, and then we'll eat that, and then maybe we'll get to the turkey, right? Because that's the biggest thing, aka your mortgage, right? We're going to do all of this one step at a time. Do you know how freaking long it'll take to have that dinner? You want to eat like that? It's not. What we're telling you is things can be cooking at the same time. There can be a benefit so that the end result looks palatable. So that the end result is that, well, damn, this took forever, right? Like, geez. And then the turkey was dry on top of that. Like, I had to wait this whole time for the turkey to be dry. I think there's probably at least 70% of people who might watch this who might agree. Waiting that long for some dried turkey is a disappointment. And so is waiting that long to find out that you can't retire, that there's not enough, and that everything that you thought you were doing for all of these years was not the right thing. And watching the people who told you to do it win.
Right. Right. Without fail.
Yeah, they're retired.
As you're losing, they're making. As you're making, they're making.
Yeah.
Without fail.
Yeah,
I know we got a lot of questions, sweetheart. What's up?
we do. Okay. How to invest for yourself. Oh, he's got a good one in here. Where did it go? Everyone was in here talking about their 401k and how they stopped paying into it. And especially since learning like things about the vesting schedules. Yeah. And the fees. Yeah, no doubt. So he's saying that my personal investments on the side are doing much better than my 401k with a lot less funds and without the company match. But here's the point. I think this true for a lot of people, but to have to educate yourself on how to play this casino, how to play in the stock market, and what to do, what not to do, and if anything happens and you don't make the right decision in this process, then all you have to do is blame yourself, right? So I do think that there's an opportunity here, but where's the part that's stable? Where's the part that is no matter what you have security, right? It is not here. You can play, sure, because Donnell, you play. You get in there and you like to play because you like that. But we also have the security piece first.
So I would say my day trading community is growing to be almost as large as my nursing community. I've got a large nursing community that are getting self-directed, but I have a growing day trading community. These are the people who are correct. You're correct. They're not putting into their company's 401k or IRA. They're at their 40-hour week job, but they're also day trading on the side. They got the screens and they're making moves and they're making money. What I tell them all is the same thing I will tell this gentleman here. Pay yourself first. Skim off the top. As you're making money, take 10, 15, 20. Be aggressive. Take 35% of what you've made, dump it into a secure compound interest producing vehicle because you have that security. And then what ends up happening is you're going to watch it surpass what you're doing in your day trading. You're going to wonder, wait a minute, how can I get more money into it? So keep doing what you're doing, keep making the money that you're making, but also get that money compounding. Have it go out and make friends. Have it go out and make employees for you. Get your money making its own money.
She says you always bring it to food. It's so true. I love food, so it's so easy for me to talk about food and bring some sort of example. Okay, how to invest for your tax? He said a long ways up. I lost it. I had it like flagged, but he was saying how he was teaching his parents, and God, I want to find that comment. He was teaching his parents and his kids, and I was hoping that it would come. No, all right, I'll find it. The point is, he had come up with a way. He was strategizing on how to help his parents retire with enough, and he was able to do it within some short time frame. The reason why I flagged this was because of what we had done with my mom, right? And gosh, I wish I could find it. Point is, what we were able to do was take all of the tools we knew were possible for her, including concepts like, well, she's older, so, and with health issues, so we know she can't probably get qualified for an MPI plan. Plus, it would be a lot to insure her, and with limited funds, and we're looking for a strategy that will actually help her, not just something to help her money grow, right? We're looking for like an emergency strategy. We were able to come up with a plan to help her retire from zero, because she got wiped out a while back, zero to completely retired, being completely financially stable in 5 years. Five. Using what we only use 3 of the strategies that we teach.
Right. Leveraging the home, leveraging previous employer's plan, and I think it was velocity banking with a hint of first position HELOC.
Yeah. And we were able to help her come up with a plan that regardless, even if she couldn't work, if there was some reason why she could not work past, if she could just last at least 5 years, that we knew that we could, she had it. She had it in the bag, and that she would not have to feel like a burden to anybody, because that was really important to her. Even though your parents may be thinking, No, we got it. We got it. Right. We'll just continue downsizing. There's that guy on the retirement gamble. He said, I'll downsize into a tent if I have to. Like he was not going to be financially dependent or dependent on anyone.
Right.
And we're going to see more and more of this because their generations are just not okay with that. They came from the hard work, right?
Right.
And now they've worked hard. Now they've put all this in and now there's just not enough.
And this is the part that pisses me off about that. Because again, if you pay attention to the news, everybody's walking off the job, right? All of the unions are looking for better benefits, looking for more pay. And why is that? It's because we've got the oldest generation. I think the last of the oldest generation retires at the end of this year.
Yeah.
So there's going to be this transition of wealth. But what's happening is these companies have to pay these people their pension. And so today we've been robbing Peter to pay Paul. We bring in a younger workforce. That younger workforce pays off the old. And all of these people who are on these picket lines fighting for better pay and better benefits, they're going to get what they've asked for. But no one asked the question, why do we keep coming back to this point?
Yeah.
Well, it's because when they get what they ask for, they're going to get better pay and they're going to get better benefits. But where's that pay going to go? Majority of it is going to go into that 401k, into that 403b. They're going to get this stipend, this lump sum of cash that they'll be able to make themselves whole from being on the picket line for so long, or partially make themselves whole. So that means that's going to be liquidated pretty quick because I've got credit card bills and whatever the case may be from me doing all this picketing for the last 2 months that I got to go pay bills. And then this increase in income, this 3.5%, 5%, 7% that you're going to get over these next few years are going to go where? It's going to end up right back into that 401k or that 403b. That helps who? It helps the Fidelities and the Vanguards and the Morgan Stanleys, which means 10 years from now, we'll be right back in the same spot, picketing again, fighting for better benefits, fighting for better pay, because it's not a sum that we're able to actually live off. Why? Because 2/3 of that growth is going towards fees. 2/3 of what you're putting into your retirement account is going to someone else. If we fought against that, if we shut down the manufacturing facilities to go against that, I don't want 2/3 of my retirement account. I want that 2/3 to come back to me. If we fought against that, then you wouldn't have to be on this line fighting for your company to give you extra benefits. You'd have it. You could actually retire comfortably. But that's the problem. And it goes back to conditioning.
Yeah. And it's no different than the pay off all the debt conversation. Then if we're not thinking forward, then we're not thinking about what happens when you've paid off all this debt.
Right.
In their minds, it's like, oh, phew, I finally made it. I finally get to check this box. But it's a siloed view, right? All you can see is the end line, the what's it called when you're running a race and there's the freaking line there?
Finish line?
Finish line, yeah. And then like I'm trying to make my point, but I'm losing the words. Okay, all you can see is the finish line, but you don't even realize that you were running in the wrong direction.
Right.
You were just looking for the finish line, right? Any finish line will do at that point because it's what you're trained to look for.
Well, I don't like what you did there, because if you go back to the whole point and purpose of today and the example that we were walking through, it was I've got $140,000 and I've got this house that's only 95. Should I pay it off? The finish line is I've paid off my home. Hey, congratulations, high five. That's
And
not
being
actually the finish line.
celebrated.
Right, but that's not actually the finish line. You saw it as the finish line, but you actually duped into thinking that was the finish line, because the truth is it's about wealth. How much wealth was accumulated when you spent $100,000 to pay off this home? Okay, you increased your cash flow $500 a month, $6,000 a year. Go retire off that.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much what your calculator was showing is not much different than that, because $24,000 in 20 years from now or 40 years from now is going to feel like $6,000.
Right.
Absolutely. Hands down, no doubt about it. Because right now, again, if $40,000 is the same as making in 1983 is the same as making $120,000 today.
Okay.
There's no way that the people who are planning for retirement in 1983,
See that.
right, And now they're going, holy cow, why is everything so expensive? We didn't have this kind of money going into here, but we had this lifestyle expectation. So then they go to downsize. Well, guess what they're buying? They're buying a home that is now still probably at least 5 or 6 times the amount of the original house that they bought. So they're not actually downsizing or helping themselves. They just can't, you can't leverage a house in the same way. Oh,
Right.
you can do reverse mortgage. What's the point of doing a reverse mortgage if the whole point of paying it off was to leave an asset for your family? Do you understand what happens when you leverage a reverse mortgage? And we do have options out there, but again, because there was this option where you had brought in, what the heck, you had brought in the concept of a reverse mortgage. We should talk about that, and how to leverage the reverse mortgage versus leveraging it as an income source, leveraging it for a different way. Like you flipped it around and you used the reverse mortgage people like they were trying to use people.
And here's the truth about that. Reverse your mortgage. A reverse mortgage can be a good move. There's a very, I'll call it, small window of people where a reverse mortgage makes sense. For the majority, though, it does not because of the expense of the product. But there is a select group of people that a reverse mortgage makes sense. Otherwise, what we're talking about is a HELOC. That's all a reverse mortgage is. It's a HELOC with way more expense. Yeah, it guarantees you won't lose your home or whatever the case may be. But if you use a home equity line of credit correctly, you can quickly surpass what a reverse mortgage can do for you.
Yeah. He Think Thrival brought his comment back up. Thank you so much for doing that, by the way. And he had brought it back up too. Um, he said, let me put it this way. My parents are over 65. I wrote a very conservative plan for my parents on a velocity banking. They will be totally debt free in less than 54 months.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And they can start, he said, and they can start policies on their grandkids. And he's been in here sharing his story, and I really appreciate these shares. And this is the powerful part about forming a community, is the shares, is knowing that you're going down the right direction, and that even though it feels lonely, and even though it feels like, okay, I can do this, I have to learn about this, I can't hire somebody to do this for me, having your community is crucial, because then instead of it being the gatekeeping style where, like, when Donnell goes in these other groups and we share, like, hey, maybe you don't want to do that, maybe you want to think about it this way, because we're not in alignment with, you know, their religion or whatever over there. It's like we're trying to be like, hey, you want some candy, kid? Like we're in a white van in the group. We're the white van people, and we're like, hey, kid, want some free toys? Want some candy? And they're like, stay away from those people who come in here and they have different ideas. And it's like, well, so they kick us out. So Donnell,
Been kicked out of so many groups.
you're like a lurker. You're just
Been kicked out of so many
lurking.
groups.
You're in the vans, in the groups, looking in the windows. You're just watching from afar at this point. That's horrible. Why did I come up with that
But
analogy?
here's the
That's not
thing,
a good
though.
one.
Here's the thing, though. I'm in those groups because I think these are the people that we serve.
Yeah.
And the objective in these groups is to keep sheep sheep. Why? Because someone benefits from you being a sheep. And my objective is just to sit on this fence, and as people walk by, we're just sharing information. If you walk by and you grab the information, you're in a better place. But if not, keep on walking. But I will forever ever be in these groups because I think these are the people that we serve. What's so funny?
These comments, if you're paying attention to the comments at all,
I can't see them.
they are cracking me up. Sometimes I can't help it. Nathan says, you are giving away toy boats. So, yep. And on that note, I was trying to bring it up. I was trying to do a better job. Oh, I haven't done it on this computer yet. Let me see if I can get it.
Because I've met with several people that have said explicitly, and I'm going to win me a boat.
Yeah. Let me see if I can do it, because I think we got time to do this for sure. All right. While we do that, will you do you mind
Yeah,
answering
yeah.
any more
See what
questions?
I can. I'm going to start from the because I can't. Yeah, yeah, I'll do what I can. I'm looking for cues.
Oh, yeah. If you can put a Q in front of your question, that does definitely help us a lot.
So I'll start here. At least I think that's the question. How have you compared the interest saved versus possible growth over 10 years inside of a SKIA? And I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying there. How have you compared the interest saved? And you're talking interest saved on the home. In this specific example, again, I used a mortgage calculator, so I think I'm right, but I could have absolutely been off a little bit. But here's what I'm assessing: $95,000 paid over the next 15.8 years, 16 years. He would have paid an additional $16,000 in interest. So based off the original cost of this home, I'm still going to say we were probably paying double for the home. So I'm sure in totality, it's probably somewhere around $200,000, maybe $150,000 in interest. That's a lot. But but if he would have just taken his money and put it somewhere else securely and grown, he would still be in a position to pay off the home. And I'd say 15 years, not pay the interest, but also created a vehicle that can produce income. So as far as comparing the interest saved versus the growth in the SKIA, we're talking about a difference of maybe $16,000 over time compared to the, what is it, 75,000 that we were talking about in tax-free income. Or the, I believe the cash value available was right around 800,000. So 800,000 in cash value, $73,000 tax-free for life compared to spending an additional $16,000 in interest. I'll take that. I'll take it all day long. Let's see. Any other questions?
Okay, I'm not as familiar with my setup yet, so I
No
literally
problem. We'll get there. I think we
trained.
just need to make a note that you know what we need to incorporate the boat, and we'll get this fixed. I'd say by Wednesday we'll have it. So I'd say don't worry about it. We'll get there. We
Yeah,
will
we'll just
we will
we'll
get to giving away some boats.
yeah, we will have to give away a whole bunch
We
on
will get to give it
Wednesday. How
because I'm
about
telling
that?
you, I've met with a few different people who have said I am adamant about winning a boat, so they're eager to get it as well.
Yeah, but the good news is I've got my setup here, and so now we're ready. Just game on. That took a while to do, but we're getting better, we're improving, and we're getting some support so that we can help more people faster. And that's a good thing too.
I'm not seeing a lot. I think we've addressed the majority of the question. Most of it is the comments are going off, and so you guys are doing an amazing job taking care of each other inside these comments.
Oh,
So go ahead.
we do have one.
Yes.
Can you put a link to the Velocity Banking Workbook in the chat, please? Oh, and then she also wanted to know, did you find out about, did you already answer
New
that?
York,
Yeah.
and I didn't even see the question yet, but it just dawned on me. You're right. I didn't mention. So, New York is like kryptonite. It is untouchable. Can someone who lives in New York own a policy for someone who does not? I think there was New York and Philly was the example. I've got a son, I've got a daughter in Philly. Can I own an MPI plan? Can I own an MPI policy on my daughter in New York? And the short answer to that question is no. There are questions that are going to be asked during this process that will determine that the owner is in New York, and because of that New York address, it's a no go. Now, if the person in New York happens to have a trust in Philadelphia or in Philly or in Philadelphia
It's
and
Connecticut. I was going to say that, but she confirmed it.
Connecticut. Well,
Yeah.
here's the thing.
There was two people.
I've
Yeah.
gotten a lot of
Right.
questions like this. So regardless whether we're talking Connecticut, Vermont, or Delaware, if the trust is based out of Connecticut, trust is based out of Delaware or Philadelphia, and that trust owns a policy on a son, daughter, that is absolutely a go. But the person living in New York, whether it's the owner of the policy or the insured on the policy, cannot have a product like this. And what are the options for someone in New York? I went down that rabbit hole as well. And the moral of the story there, as long as it's tied to the stock market, we can do it. So I've got a few resources that I can share around, I'll call it investment opportunities, and I'm calling them investment, not savings. Investment opportunities like annuities, like IRAs, 401ks, I'll call it investment accounts that are tied to the stock market. Those are available. But if you're looking for something with the security of a secure compound interest account or a premium finance strategy like MPI, it just does not exist.
Okay, so we do have some other questions, and I just want to make sure. Mr. Big Trouble says, "Hi guys, once you start an MPI plan, can you add lump sums along the way or pay more monthly than what we start with?"
Yes, you're going to get approved for what you've asked for, and that commitment is every 12 months. And then annually, we're going to meet. We're going to meet around the anniversary date prior to the start of the next year. And if you want to make adjustments at that time, you would be able to. So if that was add a lump sum or add an additional monthly amount, you would be able to do so. The key piece that you have to remember, and I kind of drew it in the visual that we were walking through today, is that MEC limit. What we don't want to do is MEC your policy. But again, if it's designed properly, you can't. We would not allow that to happen. What we would have to do is do what's called a jump. A jump just means we have to ask for more life insurance. We have to qualify for more life insurance. When that occurs, it varies. In the example today, I think it ends up being somewhere around year 11 is where a jump would be required. Because of the large lump sum put in year 1, there's so much room. The policy is actually underfunded, but there's so much room inside that policy that you have the time to compound and build and grow and not have to worry about qualifying for more death benefit. So it took 11 years. If we were putting in $10,000 a year every year, you would have to qualify for more death benefit when the relock feature kicks in, which would be starting of year 3. But if we do that right, we would build in enough room such that you wouldn't have to qualify again until probably year 7 or 9. Moral of the story is it's different for everybody. But the short answer to your question is yes, you're absolutely able to increase that dollar amount, increase a lump sum or a monthly contribution on an annual basis. And I have a feeling, even though she's not in the picture, but she is now, she's giving me the look of, we need to shorten these answers. That's the look that I feel like
No,
it's the energy that I was getting.
That's not at all what I was going to say. What I was going to say is, oh, dang it. Hold on.
Look how little you are.
Yeah, it's because, what? Hey, I got it to work. So let's draw for a boat. All right.
And again, tell people how this works. It's pulling from people who are leaving
In the
comments.
comments.
So if you're not commenting,
Yeah.
you're not on this wheel. Is that fair?
Yeah. Mr. Big Trouble, you win a
Well
boat.
done. You get a boat, sir.
You got a boat. So send us your address. And if you haven't already given us your information through like our form let me get this off of here. Where am I?
Yep. So where do they send that information? If you go to selfdirected.info, there's a form that pops up there. You can do it there, or the phone number that we were sharing throughout this live. If you simply text that number, the fact that, hey, you're Mr. Big Trouble, because I'm assuming it will probably have your actual name. You're Mr. Big Trouble. Want a boat? Here's my address. We will get it to you.
Yep.
We will get it.
There it is.
Congratulations, Mr. Big Trouble.
Boop, boop. I love it. So I think this is a great place to go ahead and button up.
I want more boat though.
Oh, yes.
Just one more boat.
Yes. Let's do it.
So, Mr. Big Trouble, let's see who's your partner in crime.
Yeah, let's do it. Oh, here we go. All right. You say when to stop this time. Oh,
Stop.
it's stop. Okay. Hey, Nathan.
Well done, Nathan.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, it's short because I know what it is. I get it because I've been asking for Bobby Brown, so it's Bobby Brown. I get it, but it
Okay.
is very short. But we'll get there. It's pretty dope, actually.
Yeah, we'll get there.
So Nathan, congratulations. Again, same concept. Text the phone number that and sweetheart, if you wouldn't mind throwing it at the bottom. Text the phone number or text your address to the phone number that we're about to put at the bottom, or you can go to selfdirected.info and fill out the form that pops up when you down at the bottom of the page as well. Either way, share with us your address, and we will absolutely get your boat headed your way. So Nathan, Mr. Big Trouble, congratulations.
Yep, and we'll We'll get back on the boats soon. And for those of you who don't know what the boats are, can we just do a refresher maybe about the boats? Since we have quite a few people watching, I think it would be good because why are we giving away these stupid boats? What does that mean? Why are these even significant? The reason why these are significant is because it's tied to a story. It's tied to a concept that was a winning strategy for people. It's mindset, right? This matters. So just as a refresher, now this video exists by itself if you wanted to share it with somebody else, but we want to share it with you so that you understand why these boats are so significant to us, because it's not just a silly thing. It really is pretty cool. So here it is.
In 1998, a British rowing team dreaming of the Olympic gold found themselves ranked 7th. Their focus had always been on the competition day, but they realized the keys to reaching their highest potential were hiding in the decisions that they'd make over those next 2 years.
Faced with two obvious choices, continue their current path and expect the same result, or give up, they discovered a third transformative option. They united under one guiding question: will it make the boat go faster? Every decision, every action was weighed against this mantra. If the answer was yes, they could, but would have to do it.
If the answer was no, it was forbidden, non-negotiable. Prior to the competition, this team was doubted and ridiculed, but no one knew what they had been doing. And once they hit the water, they were nearly unrecognizable, achieved their pinnacle, and won the gold. So we ask you,
What is your goal? What are you willing to do to achieve it?
will your story feel unrecognizable, even to you? Are you willing to light your beacon and stay focused, stay committed? Is your story non-negotiable, or are you waiting to find out how you ranked? Your financial future is not a game. You are only competing with yourself and those in the boat with you, your family, and the many generations to come.
Will this make the boat go faster? A sounding alarm, a beacon of clarity amidst turbulent life decisions.
It's not just about speed, but direction, purpose, and an unwavering commitment. Every choice, every sacrifice aimed at the goal.
The first agreement this team made was to become fully self-directed, making their health their wealth, adopting a new perspective on their time and freedom, and the decisions they could fully control to reach their goal.
Will we make your boat go faster? That is our pledge to you. Our mission is to arm you with knowledge, strategies, and insights to ensure that not only you reach the goal, but you do so long before your race is over.
And now I hope it makes more sense. And here's the thing. We've seen this video before. We've talked about it. This is a common phrase in our household. If we talk about the boat, somebody says, why do I need to do that? And I say, because it makes the boat go faster. Or if we are talking about something that happened in their friendships, right? We say, hey, but how is this person, maybe something to consider is how this person is impacting your boat, right? Or how you might be impacting somebody else's boat. And so this concept has been powerful just in our own family and in our relationship and with a lot of things, but a lot of decision making happens around this concept too. You can't see it too many times, I don't think. I don't think you could read. There's a whole book about this story, by the way. It's called Will It Make the Boat Go Faster? And I mean, you can absolutely grab that too. This story is so powerful, but we wanted to share it, and we'll continue to share it because it is a powerful concept and we need more of those.
And as it relates to today's example, the question was, hey, I've got this $140,000. Should I pay off my home? My balance on my mortgage is only $95,000. A question in the comments would have been great to be asked, hey, but will that make the boat go faster?
Right.
What's your goal? What's the whole objective of dropping this liquid cash onto your home? Will it make your boat go faster? Where's your boat headed? What's the goal? And so it absolutely fits because I doubt the person's goal was to just simply pay off his home. I'm confident it was build wealth, generate income. So how does dropping $100,000 onto your mortgage build wealth and generate income? The short of it is it does not. So it will not make the boat go faster. So maybe there's another solution. So I think it all ties. So well played, sweetheart.
Yeah, well, definitely. And to this comment here from How to Invest for Yourself, I love that you were already thinking in this direction. We actually started a Facebook group already. So come over, just jump in our group. And I mean, there's already, I think we've already got like over almost 700 people or over 600 for sure
I almost
in
said
there.
it. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to
That's,
say it. I'm not going to
but
say it.
it is hard for Donnell to believe that people would want to jump in the Facebook group and and building a community. I think this is different for us. It's humbling for us, but we also don't want it to be about us. And
Right.
this, we're
Right.
here to help, but we are also helping people. And so as we learn and as we grow and everyone else is learning too, these are exercises. Every question that anybody asks inside the group is an opportunity to get in there and be a part of working out a problem.
I think
There's no wrong answers. There's only more learning.
right, and I think that's what's so dope about. I think we've had what 300 comments today, and not many questions. Why? Because the questions are being addressed and answered inside the comments within the community. So it's
Yeah,
working. This is what it's supposed to do. The
right.
community is supposed to band together, and it builds confidence. It allows you to understand whether you're on the right track, and if you're on the right track, you're around people like-minded people who are headed in the same direction. And to your point around the Facebook group, which I do struggle with, but the fact that there's this group of like-minded individuals who are focused in the same direction, asking and answering the same question: will this make the boat go faster?
Yeah, right. And so there's some people who are posing, isn't it Kelvin? Kelvin is his name. He was posing like little quizzes like, "Hey, would you want this or this? Red pill or blue pill? Which one would you
Right.
choose and
Right.
why?" And he's like trying to throw a little twist in there. And I love that because it makes you think. It makes you be active about problem solving. And the fact that there are other people inside this group that are like, let's throw this out like it's a riddle, like it's a just a problem to solve type of thing. And we all jump in here and be a part of these conversations because a lot of us cannot be a part of these conversations with our own friends, our own family. We have to form new friendships and new communities with the new direction that we're going. And just because people came with you doesn't mean they're going with you,
Right.
right?
I agree.
But sometimes it doesn't mean that you can't, just because there are some people who need to go with you, aka your kids, your spouse, those type, doesn't mean you still can't go.
Right.
So there's a having that support in this way, I think is just different. And all we can do is be a part of be the change that we wish to see, right? And use our time to be able to utilize our time to help the most amount of people that we can, and the each one teach one method, getting out here and not reducing the gatekeeping or the opportunity for that. We also know that it's other people's time that we are being there. You guys are sharing your time with us, and that matters so much to us. So I love these comments that are in here. Haven't been on Facebook in years, so don't judge my page. We have people who hadn't been on Facebook in a long time, canceled their accounts, and then came back on Facebook just to be inside the group. And I totally understand for people who just are like, I don't do Facebook. I understand that. It's really it's the only place that we have that it made sense to start this community. If you
Right.
had a community feature in the same way, then cool, we would totally use it. But because they don't, it's just not the same. This was just happened to be the best platform to do it. So it's not that we're Facebook lovers or anything like that. It's just we're leveraging tools, something that already exists. We don't have to recreate the wheel. This is not something that we have to manually manage, right, or build ourselves. So there's some opportunities coming down the road for us, but for now, we're leveraging what we have. So that's
Let's
what
get
it
out
is.
of here, sweetheart.
All right. Well, we always like to end with if you didn't come from a wealthy family,
We can make sure a wealthy family comes from us.
that's right, comes from you. Well,
So
no, start it over. No, beep. Where's the rewind on this? Okay. If you didn't come from a wealthy family,
we can make sure a wealthy family comes from you.
that's right. So stay tuned,
Stay protected.
stay connected,
Stay focused. Stay connected. That's
stay
Angelique. I'm Donnell. And the moral of the story is let's get self directed.
That's what it is. So hold on a second, and we're going to show you how to get even more free resources. Thanks for joining us, guys. See you Wednesday.
Have a good night.
Hey, before you go, we want to remind you that becoming fully self-directed means gaining complete control over your wealth, time, and freedom. It's not just an idea. It's a framework, a mindset, and the power to make informed decisions to secure your future. Being here means you're taking those steps, and we want to thank you for allowing us to guide you. We believe that we grow farther and faster when we grow together. So tune in next time and tell a friend to tell a friend. We've helped thousands of people just like you start their journey to financial freedom. And if they can do it, you can too. And if you're ready to learn more, we got you. Get a head start by grabbing these 2 free books. But how do they get them, Donnell?
Head over to my website where you'll have access to a few things. A ton of free resources, case studies, and over 100 5-star reviews from people just like you. And in 15 minutes, we can explore what's possible for you. So don't wait.
Invest in what you want, when you want.
But first, let us help you
Get self-directed.